Welcome back to another episode of Finance Friday. My name is Coach Susan and I'm really happy to have you here. Today, I want to talk to you guys about something that is so close to my heart and something that is the ultimate goal for everyone who is concerned about money, which is pretty much all of us, and that is financial freedom or financial independence. The catch though here is I want to talk about how you can achieve financial independence through embracing a frugal lifestyle. So let's get straight into it. So the first thing that we need to do is to define or understand what financial independence really is. And financial independence is truly about having the freedom to make choices based on your values, rather than being dictated by financial constraints. It is also a financial state that you get to where working for you is optional. Okay, why? Because you can comfortably live off of your investments. So you get to a point where your investment income or your passive income can finance your lifestyle or at least take care of what you consider to be your bare minimums. At that particular point, you can decide whether you want to work or not, whether you want to pursue a passion project or not. And that's truly what, for me, financial freedom or financial independence gives you freedom of choice, freedom of what to do with your time, the ability to get out of a toxic work situation, the ability to decide that you're going to stay at home and be a present parent or a present mom. Financial freedom really is freedom in itself, okay? And today, I want us to talk about how elusive financial freedom is and why it is, because while that is the ultimate goal for everyone, I do believe if you're here on a personal finance YouTube channel watching this content, it's definitely because at the back of your mind, you want to get better at your money and you hope that in the future, you can access, even if it's just a little bit, a semblance of financial freedom or financial independence. But it is very elusive. And one of the reasons I've found that financial independence is elusive for most of us is because it requires some lifestyle changes that are very difficult to make and most importantly, to stick to, okay? So what I would want to do today is share with you what these lifestyle changes are. And my hope is that you can maybe even begin to implement some of them so that financial independence or a semblance of it can become a possibility for you in the future. We are all on this journey, myself included. I've not achieved financial independence, but I'm working on it, and I would really like that my tribe is aware and that I highlight some of the lifestyle changes that I think are helping me and could really help you on your journey to financial freedom. So the first thing that you need to do if you want to embrace, or rather if you want to access financial independence at some point in the future, is to embrace frugal living. And I know that sounds like it's almost, it's a contradiction in the sense that we understand frugal lifestyle as a lifestyle of lack, and somehow that's ideally what should get you to financial independence. That's not really the case. I find that frugal living is one of the most misunderstood financial concepts. You see, most of us think that when someone tells you to embrace frugal living, they are telling you to live a life of lack, they are telling you to deprive yourself. But really, frugal living is about value-based spending. It is spending only on the things that matter to you, on the things that are contributing to your long-term wellness, and mercilessly cutting out spending on things that do not matter to you. I want you to think the kind of spending you spend just to impress people, to impress your family members, your friends, the kind of spending you spend on just to belong somewhere or to fit in somewhere, the kind of spending that you spend to keep up with the Jonases, and so that people can say, this, that, or the other about you. Those are some of the things that we are talking about cutting down. So I think one of the things that I love to encourage people to do is to, first of all, change your mindset around what frugal living means. Frugal living is value-based spending. And I'll give you a good example. Like I personally, will not say spend on alcohol. I think that alcohol is one of the most expensive habits anyone would ever have. And then someone would think that I'm sitting somewhere on a high horse because I don't spend on alcohol. But the truth is of the matter is that there are things that I will spend on. For instance, I must spend on getting a massage and a facial every month. Now, look at that. These two things are not needs. None of them is, no one will die because they don't have their alcohol, and no one will die because they don't get their massages. So those two things are both on the categories of wants. And I want you, just listen carefully to me right here. These two things are wants, but depending on your values or a person's value, I'm like, one person values socializing, enjoyment, having some, booze here and there. That's their value. But then I don't value that. And so I do not feel the need to spend on it or to spend excessively on it just so that I can fit in a particular setup. But I do value, I sit close to 6 to 8 hours coaching on a daily basis, and that is Monday to Friday. Therefore, obviously, because of my choice of lifestyle, I tend to have, back problems or just necessary, it's not necessarily back problems, but I do sit a lot, which means that I am prone to, stiffness and all that. So I spend on massages. You'll find someone who absolutely does not value cars. Like for them, a car, I'm also those people, a car is from point A to point B. I do not care the make, the model, whether it's trendy or not. As long as my car serves the purpose of moving me from point A to point B, then I will not spend on it. But there are people who value saying they drive a Subaru, they drive the CX-9, they drive. So again, frugal living is clearly defining for yourself what value-based spending looks like. Question: that house you live in, that area you live in, that car you drive, the school that your children go to, why did you make choices around that? And ensure that it is truly coming from within as opposed to coming from external influence. So once you actually start embracing frugal living, what you do is that you only prioritize things that matter to you. But then also we are looking at it from the perspective of minimalism. A frugal life is a minimalist lifestyle. So if you live in a frugal lifestyle, this person is not you're not driven by being extravagant. You're okay with just having enough. And trust me, guys, once you understand frugal living for what it really is, that it is not about depriving yourself, but it's about clarifying your priorities and spending only on those priorities. And then the things that don't matter to you or the things that are about keeping up, you mercilessly eliminate those things. If you could be able to figure out what those things are, the things that you mercilessly will cut off of your budget, that's the first step to achieving financial independence. Because you know why? That's exactly what's going to free up money to invest in your future. Because remember, we said that financial independence is a financial state you get to where you can comfortably live off of your investment income. So how can you live off of investment income when all your income is spent keeping up or trying to get all the fancy, shiny new things? So a frugal lifestyle is the first and the most effective lifestyle to embrace over the long term if you want to achieve financial independence. And it's a lifestyle because you don't just do it once, it's just something that you normalize to do. Even when you earn 5 figures, 6 figures, as someone who's understood a minimalist lifestyle and a frugal lifestyle will still maintain their values even when the income increases. The second thing that you need to do is to not allow FOMO to run your life. So many of us are controlled by the fear of missing out. You're buying things and spending money on things just because everyone else is spending on those things. This is one of the reasons financial freedom will elude us, because listen, it requires a serious level of investing, and you cannot invest to that level when your spending is always out of control. And I love reminding people, remember that personal finance is personal. It's really just, it's very personalized. You can't be copy pasting other people's lifestyle. You don't know whether they are privileged in a particular way. You don't know whether they have an inheritance or not. And we are really, especially in the day and age of social media, we are really trying to keep up with people. Now, if you want financial freedom at some point in the future, do not allow the fear of missing out to run your life. The third thing that you need to do, and I've talked about this a lot of times on here, is to establish your needs versus your wants as a household. We are living in a day and age where we are literally turning wants into needs. And this happens a lot with lifestyle creep. When you are earning a very little amount of money, you would ideally be able to survive with that amount of money. And you'd be able to work your house shopping around it, work your enjoyment around it. But the moment you scratch the surface of slightly higher income, instead of directing that money towards your financial freedom journey or your financial independence journey, you just get bigger cars, changing where you used to make your hair before. You take your children to more expensive schools. Now, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with expanding your life or upgrading, but ensure that that is not the only thing you do with additional income. And I like to remind people time and time again that it's never really about like the amount of money that you make. It's what you do with what you have. Like so many of us have climbed the ladder. If you look back 5 years, 10 years ago, and you compare that to where you are right now, I want you to actually call yourself out, Jitem Kutano, and ask yourself, this 5 years I've been working, or this 10 years I've been working, and I've climbed this corporate ladder, or my business has grown. What do I have to show for it other than an increased standard of living? If that's the only thing that you have to show for it, that's an indication that you've let lifestyle creep take over and you're not so clear on what are needs and what are wants. So be very clear on your needs versus wants as a household, so that when you start mercilessly cutting down on things that don't matter, you have a very clear demarcation. So you see, this concept of needs versus want is really going to help us with dealing with lifestyle creep, because once you overcome it, you are able to invest for financial independence and for financial freedom. And most of us are not able to do that because of lifestyle creep and because of normalizing wants as needs. So you might want to be careful about that. The fourth lifestyle change that you need to make if you want to get to financial independence is to get rid of debt and stop normalizing debt. Listen, guys, we have normalized debt so much and we have actually made it part of adulting. As a matter of fact, the way we live these days, it's like we cannot survive without debt. I've actually met people who've asked me, like, uko sure hauna deni hata moja, hata mshwari. You know, it's almost like we've put it in such a way that it's absolutely impossible to maneuver or to survive without debt. Now, that is one of the biggest obstacles, and that is one of the biggest reasons why we will never achieve financial freedom, or why some of us cannot achieve financial independence. You know why? Because debt allows you to live a life you cannot afford, to buy things that you cannot afford with money that you don't even have in the first place. In fact, I love to tell people debt is pretty much, like when I think of debt today, like in 2023, for me, debt is like the modern day slavery for like the middle class, especially. Like just because, and I love to keep reminding people, just because you can buy the asset, the fridge, the phone, and pay it later does not mean that you should. There's a difference between paying for something and being able to afford it. Just because the mobile app lending, the mobile lending apps are there does not mean you should use them. Just because your bank sends you messages every single day reminding you that there's this loan and that loan does not mean you should take it up. Just because there are facilities left, right, and center to empower you to live a life you cannot afford does not mean we should utilize them. For me, I feel like being in that mental state of acceptance, and guys, acceptance is so powerful. Being in that mental state of acceptance of where you are, and because of that, you're able to live within your means. It is the best thing you can ever do. It's actually rebelling against the system. Okay? So you think that they do not know that there's absolutely no way you will get to financial freedom when you owe everyone. Like your paycheck comes in. I've worked and I coach on a daily basis, and this makes me so sad. I work with individuals that earn 6 figures. I'm talking 200K, 300K. And by the time the net income is coming in, we are like at 80. And where is everything? It's debt. And I know there's good debt and bad debt, so I'm not refuting that there's a way you can use debt to build wealth. That's not the topic of our conversation today. In fact, very few people have good debt. Most people have bad debt, which is the consumer debt, right? So you have loans and you're making some very good income, and you already dug yourself so deep that you cannot even scratch the surface of the kind of investments that someone who earns what you have could be doing. Okay? Stop normalizing debts. Stop allowing debt to have a chokehold on you. If you don't forget about debt, then forget about financial independence. You need to know how to work the system. And the most powerful thing that you can do is to accept where you are. Of course, keep working hard to get better, to move from, lower class to middle class, to wealthy, to affluent. There's nothing wrong with that. But at every stage of life you are in, normalize living within your means. As long as you're not living within your means, there's absolutely no way you will have the power or the capability to invest towards financial independence. The fifth thing that you need to do is to normalize budgeting for financial independence as a lifestyle thing. Now, most of us think that budgeting is having a list of bills. And if you've been at day one, you guys know that that's not budgeting. Budgeting is not just writing down, I need to pay for A, B, C, D, and putting aside money for it. Budgeting is an intentional spending plan. Now, if you want financial freedom, if you want financial independence, then you need to make budgeting and for financial independence part of your budget. Now, how do you budget for financial independence? Guys, trust me, it's not as complicated as it sounds. It's pretty much including savings and investments as part of your budget. So you see how you have a budget line for rent, for food, for clothing, for school fees. You need to have a budget line for financial independence. And that can be it's not just one account for financial independence. It could be a couple. So obviously your emergency fund is part of it. And then of course, any other investments that you're making towards passive income or towards growing your wealth to a point where you would ideally not be dependent on employment to make a living. Now, when you are budgeting for this, you need to budget in alignment with your goals. And maybe I can share one of my goals that is so personal to me to show you guys how I budget for financial independence. I've mentioned here before that one of the most audacious goals that I have for myself is to scratch the retirement at 45. Not necessarily stop working, but at the age of 45, I would like my passive income to exceed my active income, right? Which means that I would like the money that's coming in passively to be more than the money I'm making from working, okay? So obviously, I'm gonna put I'm gonna kind of put a link down below where you can read about calculating your financial independence number. As a matter of fact, there's a YouTube video that I've done to explain to you guys how you can calculate your financial independence number. Now, for me, my financial independence number at the age of 45, I need to have around 32 million. Yes, I know the number. It's my goal. So you need to really prioritize your goals that much. So I know my FI number is 32 million by the age of 45, and I want it, I'm a very conservative investor. So the goal there is to have around 32 million saved up in my, or rather my overall portfolio. Most of it will be in my retirement fund, right? Now, because of that, I've been able to work backwards to ask myself, and I started that when I'm 29 right now, but I started seriously investing in my financial independence at the age of 27. So I've had a 2-year window, two and a half year window to kind of start the journey. Okay. Now I worked backwards to identify exactly how much money I need to be putting in my pension in my retirement fund every month. And that figure is around 38,000 every month. So you see, that is on my budget. As long as I can consistently contribute around 38,000 in my retirement fund every month, by the age of 45, I will have hit that number, the 32 million. Now, if I take that 32 million and probably invest it somewhere in a bond, maybe let's assume a 14% per annum bond, that money would give me a rough estimate of, say, I'll confirm the number, maybe put it down here, but around 250 to 300,000 coming in every month. So if that is the case, then that would mean that by the time I'm 45, I'll have passive income coming in at that level, between 200 to 300,000. So you see, that can help me to actually do the slowing down that I talked to you guys about. Which means, if I have 200K or 300K coming in, maybe that takes care of rent, maybe that takes care of utilities, etc. Do you see how you start creating freedom around you? Do you see how you start giving yourself options or giving yourself choices? So that's exactly what I mean. When I say budget for financial independence, that's exactly, I've given you a very personal example of how I'm personally doing it. And that's just one of my goals for financial independence. So look at it from the perspective of how many years would you want to give yourself for that number? Mine could be 45. Of course, I'm lucky that I started in my 20s, but maybe you're watching me and you're already in your 30s, you're already in your 40s. There's nothing wrong with that. You can work with a higher number, 50, 55, however much, and then start working backwards to see, so how much money should I put on my budget to go towards this thing? Now, in my Budget for Your Best Life Masterclass, I teach you exactly how to prepare a budget that aligns with your goals, like what we've just talked about right now. I'm actually teaching you how to prepare a budget that goes beyond bills. This masterclass is a self-paced budgeting masterclass. It's a 3-hour class. It comes with a free budgeting template, and you get to keep that recording for a lifetime, guys, in case you need to refer. This masterclass goes for $27.50 Kenya shillings only. And trust me, guys rave about this masterclass. Every one of my clients who has been able to purchase and access that masterclass, they always keep coming back and they're like, oh my God, I never thought budgeting could be this simple. So please, if you haven't already grabbed it, I'm going to link it down in the description box below so that you can learn how to budget for your best life and to budget for financial independence. Last but not least, you need to change your mindset if you want to achieve financial independence. Now, why are we talking about mindset? Because the truth of the matter is that for financial independence to be achieved, one must elevate their mindset around money making. Because the truth of the matter is that there's only so much you can do to cut expenses. You can cut and live frugally and do all of these things we've talked about. But because of the rising cost of living, increasing demands of families, maybe even just you wanting to elevate your lifestyle, maybe you want to travel, maybe there are things you want to do. Because of that, you will find that even with just merely living a frugal lifestyle, it's not enough. It is part of the process. We're not doing away with it, but it is part of the process. Now, where does money mindset come in? We will only get to financial independence when we change our minds about our ability to make money, but also understand the art of making money and creating passive income streams. Now, I hate to break it to you guys, but if you want financial independence, it's highly unlikely that you can achieve financial independence while depending on one salary only. You will have to think out of the employment box if you want to achieve financial independence. You have to think about diversifying your sources of income. I've said this before here, that one source of income is too close to none. So we are talking about increasing your sources of income from investment income, business income, being able to monetize your skills, your talents, your expertise. You must have one source of income, more than one source of income, to achieve financial independence. I actually read somewhere that like most dollar millionaires and billionaires have more than 4 sources of income, around 4 to 5 sources of income. So we have employment income, we have business income, we have interest income, we have dividend income, we have royalties. If, for instance, you've created something and you've put it out there, you have royalties. We even have real estate income. Like, you need to diversify your sources of income. Now, if you're watching me right now, and your mindset is already like, msichana anasema nini, hii pesa inatoka wapi? That's precisely why most of us will not access it, because we are more focused on the impossibility of it than asking ourselves. And there's a previous video I talked to you guys, and I told you, challenge your mindset. Ask yourself why you think it's so hard to make money. Obviously, there are so many obstacles, even in my own way. But like the day I changed my mindset and I stopped looking at it from the perspective of there's no money to be made, this government has messed us up, there are no jobs. When I changed my mindset from that and started looking at my environment, my capabilities, what can I take advantage of to make money, I started diversifying my sources of income. So this is just a reminder, change your mindset. Financial independence does not happen to people with a scarcity mindset. Financial independence does not happen to narrow-minded people. Financial independence does not happen to complainers who just complain, but do not go that extra mile to figure out what can be done. The truth of the matter is that as long as there are millionaires and billionaires in this world, then there's money to be made. There's money circulating in the economy. The task and the difficult assignment is for you to figure out how to access that money, which avenues to use. Obviously, legal avenues, guys, legal avenues, okay? So in the day and age that we are living in, there's so many things. Like currently, I am utterly maximizing on that I'm young, I am strong, I can put in 15-hour work days. I am leveraging on my social media heavily. I am diversifying my sources of income within my business model. I'm coaching individuals. I'm coaching groups. I'm coaching companies. I'm creating digital products. Like I'm really, really just investing to ensure that my income does not just come from one place and one place only. So just open up your mind and figure out. Obviously, this is not an overnight thing. It's taken me 4 years to get to where my business is right now. So it's not a quick fix kind of approach. It's just challenging you to think out of the employment box. Think bigger than a bigger salary. Think passive. Think making money in your sleep. And the question, and this is homework for you guys, I want you to let me know down in the description box. What have you read or what have you heard that people are doing to make money in their sleep? And what do you think you can start working and building towards to ensure that you diversify your income sources? Now, we've come to the end of today's video, and I really hope that you picked up some things that you can start applying in your journey to financial freedom. Let me know. And please, guys, remember to get the Budget for Your Best Life Masterclass in the description box below if you haven't already done it. And I'm also going to link a video where I've taught you exactly how to calculate your financial independence number. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next episode of Finance Friday.